There we go. Okay, you guys, welcome to another episode of the Killer Author Club. This is a super special episode, as you guys know. This afternoon's guest is debut author Matthew Blake, here to answer all the killer questions about a book that is already an international sensation, Anna O, which my puppy and I totally enjoyed. As you can tell, my puppy enjoyed it very much. Anyway, okay, so we have tons to talk about. So grab your cocktail or tea if it's daytime for you, your list of questions for Matthew, and strap in, and we'll see you on the other side.
Thought you really loved me, guess I was wrong. Thought you'd never leave me, guess I was dumb. Waited like forever to be your plus one, but I guess you were done.
Hi again, and to all of our new members and the originals who've been with us on Facebook and Instagram or YouTube or wherever you're watching, we're so glad to have you here. I'm Killer Kara Ruda, along with Killer Kimberly Bell and Killer Heather Gudenkoff, the OGs of the Killer Author Club, and we're so excited to be welcoming Matthew Blake with us all the way from London to talk about his fascinating novel, Anna O, and all things killing, of the fictional kind, of course. Make sure to drop your questions for Matthew in the comments, and we'll be scouring them to ask our killer guest all of the questions. So Matthew, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thanks so much for having me on. It's such a privilege.
Oh, we're so happy to have you here. So Heather, will you do the official introduction?
I would love to. So after discovering that the average person spends 33 years of their life asleep, wow, Matthew Blake felt the pull of a story. He began extensive research into sleep-related crimes and into the mysterious illness known as resignation syndrome. Research that sparked a thrilling question. If someone commits murder while sleepwalking, are they innocent or guilty? And so his novel, Anna O, was born. Before writing fiction, Matthew worked as a researcher and speechwriter in Westminster. He studied English at Durham University and Merton College, Oxford, and now lives in London. Anna O is his first novel. Hello, Matthew.
Hi.
Welcome. Wow, what an incredible concept. We're going to dive right into the book in a few moments, but can you give us a quick elevator speech for Anna O?
Yeah, sure. So Anna O is the story of, as you said, Anna Ogilvy, who kills her two best friends while sleepwalking and then falls into a 4-year-long deep sleep. And Dr. Benedict Prince, who's a forensic psychologist, has to try and wake Anna up so she can stand trial for the double murder. And people who think Anna's innocent call her Anna O. People who think she's guilty call her Sleeping Beauty. And the reader has to consider all the evidence and figure out which side of the innocent guilty spectrum they're on.
Loved it. And we are so excited, and we have lots of questions for you. And it's a reminder to tell everyone, please drop your comments and so we can add them to our list to ask Matthew. But first, it's time to talk about this episode's killer cocktail.
Yes, and I want to do that, but first I want to say, Killer Heather, congrats on Pub Day. Your book is out today. Everyone is watching. So
very excited. Thank you. Thank you. It's
so we'll have a double cheers because the Killers, we love our cocktails, mocktails, tasty drinks. So every episode we ask our killer guests to come equipped with their favorite, and recipes are on killerauthorclub.com under the tab Killer Cocktails. And Matthew chose the Vesper Martini as his special drink tonight. Matthew, would you like to tell us about this drink and why you chose it?
I did. It's probably the most famous sort of British literary cocktail. It's the one James Bond goes for. So it's it's Ian Fleming was a bit of a cocktail connoisseur. So this is his own recipe. I think the one he devised is the ultimate. And I couldn't really go for anything else. I feel sitting here in London, I had to go for that.
Love it. All right. Well, double cheers, like I said. Cheers.
Yeah.
It's a little early for us, but you're in England, so you're allowed.
Allowed, yeah.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. The Killers and I started Killer Author Club 2 years ago so that readers like you can interact with some of the best suspense and thriller authors in the business. Our winter-spring lineup includes superstars like Lisa Gardner, coming later today at 6 p.m. Pacific, and Chris Beaujolais Crispy. and CJ Box, and so many more. Dates, time, past episodes, and much more can all be found on killerauthorclub.com. But today, we're here to talk about Anna O, the international best-selling sensation, a GMA Buzz pick, a Today Show pick, a People Magazine pick, a riveting, unsettling crime novel that will keep you turning pages well past your bedtime. Is Anna O a sleeping beauty or a sleeping killer? That's Nita Prose, #1 New York Times best-selling author. An audacious, inventive mystery, a thriller of ideas, and here's the irony for you, a novel about sleep to keep you up late. Anna O reads like a dream, but unsettles like a nightmare. The premise is original, the writing stylish, and the payoff unforgettable. You won't forget her name, and that's AJ Fenn. And just a guy named David Baldacci said, a wickedly stunning work. Blake's experience as a screenwriter is on full display here as he ramps up the suspense and carves out his cast of wonderful characters with the skill of a real pro. The twist is one of the best I've read and ranks right up there with The Silent Patient. Sure to be wildly popular and have fans clamoring for Blake's next work. So congratulations, Matthew. You must still be on cloud nine with all of this. It's just been amazing from okay, but first we got to get to the killing question. First is, okay, back to the killer question.
Lots of questions, can you tell?
Okay, all right, so the killers have a question for you. When do you kill?
Oh, well, a tantalizing question. I can't pretend I haven't thought about my perfect murder many times during the course of my writing career. I think definitely at night. I think I like a bit of atmosphere. I think the harsh glare of daylight would put me off my stride slightly, I think. So it's got to be the nighttime atmospherics. I don't like anything that's too, unlike my books, I personally don't like anything that's too bloody. So in the books, I have people with knives and stuff. I don't think if I was doing it, that's how I'd do it. I think I'm more of a poisoner, actually. I think I'd be a sort of Agatha Christie style, slipping it in someone's tea. And then sort of disappearing from the scene and then sort of acting shocked the next morning. So it would all be quite polite. It would be quite sort of dignified. It would obviously be perfect. I'd get away with it. I would have the sort of moral doubt of having done it, but I wouldn't have sort of nightmares and flashbacks about the actual act itself. So I think that would be my perfect murder.
I like that. I mean, really, while you were describing it, I believed you, and I believe you can do that.
I'm not drinking your tea.
I was actually picturing you, yeah, and now I'm just checking my tea. No,
yeah, you don't want to ever have a hot drink from me. That's the golden rule. So.
Yeah, I like it. All right, so as I was alluding to, my biggest question for you is how did it feel to have your debut novel be purchased at auction and then just zip around the world as a bestseller? Are you still believing this, or has it all settled in, or how do you feel now?
Well, it's been a complete whirlwind. I think the most surreal bit was back in June 2022 when it was sold, and that was a complete sort of amazing 2-week period. It was submitted on a Thursday, and by Friday we had 16 international offers and had sold it to the UK, the US, and Canada. So that was just a total whirlwind. And then, as you'll all know, it's a long time before you go through many stages before the final version sort of hits the shelf. So I think there's definitely a point for me where I sort of assumed it was already published because I'd seen so many versions of it, and so I kept having to remind myself that it wasn't yet. So but no, since it's come out, it's been absolutely phenomenal. I did a US tour at the end of last year to meet lots of booksellers, and so went around 6 cities, went to Toronto in Canada. I've just come back from Oslo in Norway and the crime festival they have there, and I'm about to go off to Spain and then Croatia. So yeah, seeing it resonate all around the world has been a great sort of joy for me. I'd hope with Sleep, it's such a universal idea. That was always the hope that everyone would sort of really connect with the book, which has just been amazing seeing that happen.
Yeah, congratulations. Really, that's I think it must be every author's dream to have an idea like that, just it's magic. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
you know, how it does connect with readers, because of course we all sleep, and we all have this fear. I know I do, like talking in my sleep. I've never really, I know I walked in my sleep as a child, but just the idea that you could do something so horrendous and not
Yes.
know it. Where did you come up with the idea with it in general?
Well, I mean, so it started with the fascination with sleep, and I thought it was a great sort of untapped area for a thriller. And then really it was just digging into the research, the real life research, um, and discovering this people who kill other people while sleepwalking, the sleepwalking defense in court, which has been used for hundreds of years. Actually, it's quite an old defense, but people claiming that they had no intention of murder, they had no memory of committing it, so therefore they couldn't be guilty. And then discovering resignation syndrome, the real life sleeping sickness. So yeah, it was through the research and finding out all these real things, and then putting them together, I guess, in that snappy elevator pitch way. And so that was the sort of eureka moment. But it's quite a high concept novel, so I knew that I had to ground it in reality. It had all to be believable. And so that's why there's so much sort of real life stuff in the book. Every single thing mentioned has happened or could happen.
It's fascinating and terrifying at the same time.
I know, especially as a sleepwalker. I'm like, oh,
yeah. Somebody actually asked that. Do you know anyone that sleepwalks? That a lot of people on here saying that they sleepwalk, or
yes.
So
yes, I do know someone. So one of my family members was a sleepwalker when they were younger, and often got locked out of rooms. And I think lots of people have. I mean, going around talking to lots of different people, everyone's got a family member or a friend or a college roommate or a partner even who sleepwalks or sleep talks, sleep eats, has night terrors, does all sorts of weird and wonderful things when they sleep. So it's something we don't often talk about, but once you get started, I often find everyone around the table has got their own sleep story. So it really is something which gets the conversation going.
Yeah,
I bet. Like, you're probably getting to be an expert on. Do people ask you for a diagnosis now? You've done all this research. Like, can you help me?
Like a sideline as a sleep therapist now.
Exactly.
That's what I'm going to go into. But yeah, people do. I mean, it's. I because there's so much real life stuff in the book, and I got so interested in it. Then I have met some interesting people, some neurologists one who told me that the only way to actually prove whether someone was sleepwalking when they commit a crime is to attach electrodes to the side of the person's head during the crime. So it obviously is impossible. So even the top medical people can never definitively tell you whether or not someone was sleepwalking. It's a complete mystery. It's one of the last great mysteries, I guess, that how can you ever tell? If someone's eyes are open but their brain is asleep, how can you tell whether they mean to do something or not?
Right. It's awesome. Okay, and in that vein, let's talk about Dr. Prince.
Yes.
He's a great character. I mean, so his passion is the study of sleep, and he's also decided to be Anna's therapist and essentially try to wake her up. And that's his job, is to try to wake her up so that she can get prosecuted for these crimes. So where did he come from, and how did you create him?
Well, he again came from a lot from real life, really. I mean, the Abbey Sleep Clinic in the novel is based on a real life sleep clinic in Harley Street here in London. And Dr. Prince is based on real life forensic psychologists I met and some sleep experts. And I'm fascinated by forensic psychology as a way to investigate crime. You know, the idea of in every crime scene, someone leaving mind traces behind, and having to understand the psychology of the killer and also the victim and the story behind that. As a novelist where you're dealing with character all the time, that's such a rich way to explore characters. And particularly in the case of Ben and Anna, the only way he can cure her resignation syndrome is restoring hope to her life, which is obviously pretty difficult if he's trying to wake her up to stand trial for murder. But to do that, he has to understand her as a character. He has to understand what led up to her doing this, who she is, what are her fears, her hopes, her dreams. So it's really that relationship between those two central characters. And Ben has got to understand who Anna has become this sort of global true crime celebrity, but Ben needs to understand who she really is and what really motivates her.
It was amazing. I loved it. So I read somewhere or heard that this book it took you like 4 years to write. Is that correct?
Yes. It was, well, so much time. So I spent about 2 years on the research and the plotting, and obviously lots of people have read lots of psychological thrillers and mystery thrillers. We've watched all the Netflix box sets, so lots of people have seen every twist under the sun. They've can predict things. Audiences are so smart, so I knew I needed to come up with a sort of twist that even the most seasoned thriller reader and watcher wouldn't be able to guess, or that would be genuinely new and surprising. So yeah, the research and the plotting, that's what took the most time, and then once I had all that, then I could sort of start the writing, which was great.
So you did plot it out in advance?
Yes, I did. It's a very sort of twisty turny complex plot, so
Yeah.
I thought I needed to ensure that every little bit added up, that every bit sort of, it's like a sort of jigsaw. You've got to make sure it all works out in the end. So I started with the twists and then built everything else around it.
Oh, wow.
Well, I'm on your page. I'm a plotter. These two are pantsers. Or Heather's.
I'm in awe of pantsers. I can't do it myself.
Yeah, well, yeah, the feeling's mutual because I hate plotting, but we all have our strengths, and I mean, I'm going to try to learn to plot. I am someday, not this day.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite part? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a favorite? Do you rather plot, or do you prefer the actual writing of it, or is it the same?
Oh, I mean, both. I try and so I plot all the big bits. I try and leave enough room in it, so when I'm writing, if I have a great idea on a day, there's a bit of sort of serendipity, and I can add things in and move things around. But the big stuff, the big twists, stay like sort of signposts along the way. So yeah, I mean, I think I enjoy both. I mean, obviously I enjoy the writing, I enjoy the characters and exploring that, but I really do enjoy the in the plotting as well. I mean, I think anyone who writes in this genre, we all love plot twists and story. I mean, that's what drives you to the genre to begin with. So I love crafting a story and taking those elements we all like and then somehow making them new.
Love it.
Yeah, exactly. And what were you worried at all, like when you were taking the 4 years to do it, that someone was going to come out with a book, like one of the Lisa's about sleep?
I was terrified. I didn't want to check sort of Publishers Weekly or the bookseller here in London or anything, just to read some other book had been announced which had exactly the same idea. So that was a bit of a nerve-wracking moment.
I was thinking that when you were describing it, you're like, I've got the idea, it's here, and then somebody announces a sleepwalking book. You're like, no.
I know.
I hate it.
It was a fear, but thankfully this time round, the other bit of my life I do a bit of sort of TV stuff, and TV is absolutely obsessed with that. If there's any sort of crossover, you're sort of completely done. Whereas thankfully books, you have a bit more leeway. So, but no one did get the sleepwalking murder and the resignation syndrome, so I was all right.
So that was good. Yeah, you made it through. Yeah. What kind of television do you write?
So I do sort of crime dramas and original ideas, and it's the usual sort of lots of things in development. But it's another fun. I like having it as a sort of it's a slightly different skill to the novel writing, but it gets you think. It's great training, I think, for a thriller writer. You have to think about pitches and outlines and how you sell in an idea. It's sort of very useful training. So yeah, those are the sort of two bits of my life now.
Yeah, my daughter's a screenwriter, and it's such a different way to look at the world, but it's really helpful. Yeah, just to see it. And that's probably why a lot of reviewers say your book's so cinematic, because it's
hopefully, yes. Yeah. And lots of Anna O has very short chapters, cliffhangers on the end of every chapter, a bit like sort of scenes really in a screenplay. So hopefully it's quick and it's fast, and so it's got all those things in it.
Yeah.
Have you sold your film rights?
Yes, we have. We were waiting until after the writer's strike, so obviously that dominated all of last year. But no, we have. Joe, we've got a great. We're going to announce it hopefully this week, I think. So,
so we are on the early side. Congrats! That's amazing.
So it should be a big. It's a great company in Hollywood, so it should be great. Yeah.
Awesome. Will it be film or TV? Do we know?
It'll be TV, I think. It'll be to get all of. There's quite a lot of plot in it. There's quite a lot of different ensemble characters. So I think squashing it all into a 2-hour movie would be too much. But I think, in a
it would,
great,
yeah.
a great sort of 8-part TV, something that would really do it justice, I think.
I
And will
agree.
you get to be a screenwriter on it?
I hope, we'll be exec producer, and I hope we'll be in the writer's room and sort of doing all that stuff. So that's the hope. So it should be great.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, congrats.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
And boy, we have some lucky winners out there today, because Matthew is giving away 5 copies of Anna. Well, your publisher is.
I personally are delivering them too.
To their doorsteps.
I can do it all.
So 5 lucky winners are going to, in the US, will have a chance to win a copy of Anna O. So it doesn't matter if you're watching us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. We scour the comments everywhere that we stream, but please make sure you shout out where you're from. But you need to answer this question. Then the question is, what inspired Matthew to write Anna O? So drop that into the comments. Tell us where you're from, and we will pick 5 lucky winners.
And he'll personally deliver it to you.
With a bow.
I'm kidding.
So the Killers love our indies, and we try to support them as much as we can. We have our very own store on bookshop.org. You can find us there, the Killer Author Club bookstore. We have some fun lists the 3 of us have put together. We'll be dropping that link in the comments. But in the meantime, and speaking of indies, Matthew has selected the Mysterious Bookshop in Manhattan as his favorite U.S. indie. Matthew, can you tell us why this store is special to you?
Well, I was in New York in October. We did a sort of big launch at the Chelsea Hotel, which was sort of amazing for me. I'm such a fan of all the sort of musicians and the history of that place. And then I got to explore a bit. And so I'd heard of the Mysterious Bookshop, but never been. And I went in, and it's like I died and gone to heaven, really. It was everything I'd ever wanted, but never found. So I just spent a blissful few hours browsing there and buying lots of things. And I'm a huge fan of the whole history of the mystery genre, and they had all the editions and everything. So it was absolutely incredible.
Love it. Well, I'm dropping the link in the comments, but make sure to stop in the next time you're in the Big Apple and pick up a copy or 10 or 20 of Anna O.
And as much as we'd like to invite every amazing killer to be featured on our show, there are only 3 of us, and just not enough time. But we can't let this go by without celebrating 2 very special authors, both of whom are offering up a giveaway of their brand new release. So the first is Watch It Burn by Kristen Bell, which came out March 12th. She's giving away 1 copy to a lucky U.S. winner. For fans of Lisa Jewell and Chandler Baker, this twisty psychological suspense novel follows 3 women investigating the death of a high-profile local woman in a small southern town. When they find a connection to a cultish personal development group, their discoveries have scorching consequences for the whole community. Bum, 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 bum. Sounds good. All right. And then the next one is The Framed Women of Ardmore House. And this is by Brandy Shalas. I hope I said that right. Coming out on February 13th, she is giving away 1 copy to a U.S. reader, a sharp, savvy mystery about a woman who inherits a crumbling English estate only to become both the prime suspect and the potential victim in a murder investigation. To clear her name, she'll plunge into the small town secrets and the long-buried past of her own family, hopefully before the killer strikes again.
Ooh, those sound great.
I know, they sound great. So drop a comment if you guys would like to be entered to win one of those 2.
And membership has its privileges. So if you're on Facebook, check out our private members only group called the Killer Author Clubhouse. This is the place for the really hardcore killers, where we share book recs, have all sorts of murderous fun, and hold giveaways. Every episode, we choose a name from the KAC Clubhouse hat to win a piece of KAC swag, t-shirts, mugs, totes, hats, all of which can be found at killerauthorclub.com. And tonight's winner is Dawn Fowler McCurry. So Dawn, please contact one of the killers and we will get that killer swag out to you right away.
Yay, Dawn. Congrats.
Yes.
And Matthew, we have good news for you. Despite a slight emergency right before the show started, you survived the Killer Author Club.
I have. Yeah.
You have.
Touch and go at one point, but I have.
It was.
Congrats. I'm glad to see it.
Yes, we're very glad you made it and that you survived and that everything's going well so far. And with that does it for today's episode. Of course, we have another one coming up tonight. Thanks to everyone for tuning in, and thanks so much, Matthew, for being here. And be sure to be right back here, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, with the one and only Lisa Gardner, who'll be talking all about her latest Still See You Everywhere. In the meantime, please find us wasting entirely too much time on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and all of those places. For more information or anything about us, visit thekillerauthorclub.com. And thanks again, Matthew. And thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks so
Matthew.
much for having me. Thank you.
Sorry, guys.
I get tired, I'm a killer.